Folks, Donnie Rightside here with SportsbookReview.com. It is Monday. The NFL playoff picture is starting to come into focus. Today is Monday. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the NFC playoff picture and how that's playing out. There is a big game tonight that's going to determine some playoff seeding here in the NFC when the Atlanta Falcons travel down to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium. If Atlanta does win this football game, folks, that's going to put to rest the Green Bay Packers, who have no way to get in the playoffs. All the hot takes with Aaron Rodgers coming back pretty much would have died on the vine early with the loss yesterday to the Carolina Panthers. But let's take a look at the seedings as they are right now. And we're going to assume that the Atlanta Falcons are going to win this football game tonight, favored by about 7 points down at Raymond James. The Eagles will come in with the top seed. Number 2 would be the Minnesota Vikings. 3, the Los Angeles Rams. 4, the New Orleans Saints. 5, the Carolina Panthers. 6, bring up the tail, as I said, assuming a victory tonight with the Atlanta Falcons getting that 6th spot, and 7, Detroit. 8, technically sitting in that 8th spot around there would be the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get into some playoff pictures here. The division I'm really looking forward to coming down the stretch, I've been saying it the past couple weeks, is the NFC South. It's going to be greatly entertaining here. The Saints and both the Panthers pulling up a 10-4 record heading down the stretch, but the Saints have beat the Carolina Panthers twice, even though their record is tied. That's going to give them the tie-breaking advantage. For the Saints heading down the stretch, take care of business against Atlanta next week in the Dome, and also looking at Tampa Bay. They should be able to control that. If you're looking just as chalk favorites, the Saints should be able to roll through those last 2 football games and finish with the top record in the NFC South. If we're looking at the Panthers here, they are going to need some help, as I said, because they don't own the tiebreaker. Playing Tampa Bay at home next week, that should be a victory. Then going on the road to Atlanta, which is always a tough environment for the Carolina Panthers to play in. That should be a great finish to the season. The Falcons, albeit we just started there in the 6th position, granted, if they win tonight, what a tough road they're going to have heading down the stretch, going to the New Orleans Saints and then factoring in the Carolina Panthers in the last game of the season. Clearly the toughest road to hoe. If they win both of those football games, they can certainly shake up some of the standings here in the NFC and, of course, move up the ladder there in the NFC South. In the NFC North, another interesting certain round of teams there, the Minnesota Vikings, as we say. I think the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings are going to hold those top 2 positions there in that same seeding, with the Eagles getting the top seed, the Minnesota Vikings with the number 2 seed. If we take a look at the NFC North, though, it's the Detroit Lions that you're going to want to take a look out for. They're going to play the Cincinnati Bengals next week on the road. I mean, hey, winning on the road in the NFL is always a tough environment, but it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals have nailed in the season. Marvin Lewis looks like he's going to be on his way out into retirement. How much they have to play for last 2 weeks certainly showing with the Chicago Bears loss and also the Minnesota Vikings loss. They don't want anything to do with the NFC North, but it looks like that's going to come into play. That they should win that football game. Then you're going to have Green Bay at home, which if Green Bay was still in the hunt, it might have been a tougher ball game, but are they going to play Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, in that last game of the season on dome, in turf, on a harder surface than as opposed to playing in Lambeau? That's something to keep your eye on, because if the Detroit Lions continue to win, they're going to end up possibly with that 6th seed, jumping the Atlanta Falcons, who have a much better seed or much better time heading down the stretch with some tougher games. In the NFC, it's pretty much chalk at this point. The Eagles are 12-2. They're going to be able to beat, or supposedly beat, the Oakland Raiders this week, and let's just say they do. They'll clinch the top and overall seeding, which is going to open up the door a little bit for the Dallas Cowboys, because they're going to get a limping Seattle Seahawks team in here at home, getting Ezekiel Elliott back. They should have a pretty good game day environment there. Everybody looking for that, and they should be able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who will be resting their starters in Week 17 of the season, heading into Philadelphia. But I don't know if they're going to have enough, because the tiebreaker in this element, folks, in the NFC is going to go for the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. It's going to go to the Detroit Lions in that situation. I think they have the advantage here, sitting in that 7th spot, to jump in and take that 6th seed. I still think, obviously, Dallas has a shot, because I think they are going to win out, but you're going to need to be tripped up in one of those games for the Detroit Lions. We'll see if that can take place this week versus a dead Cincinnati team, or, as I said, in the last week of the season. If Aaron Rodgers plays in that football game, which Dallas fans will be cheering for, that's going to be a much harder win as opposed to going up against Brett Hundley, the backup. That's been your NFC playoff update here. Tomorrow we'll take a look at the AFC right here on SportsbookReview.com, doing a lot of great things here. Check out SBRodds.com, a completely free service to check all those odds movements there. Also at SBR Sports Picks on Twitter, and also give us a follow there on YouTube. Subscribe every single time we go live with something. You will get the alert here. I'm Donnie Rightside for everything NFL. Always check out SportsbookReview.com.